day starts right now. And welcome to the New World Order. Now, that was the message from British Prime Minister Gordon Brown today, and that is our headline this Thursday night, day number 73 of false hope, loose change all around the globe. Now, President Obama met with world leaders today in London at the Gee Whiz, hey, how can we build the taxpayers just a little more G20 summit? Now, Mr. Obama said the meeting is a, quote, turning point as world leaders agreed on a framework for unprecedented steps to so-called restore economic growth. But here at home, well, people are not so convinced. In a brand new Fox News poll released today, 66% of Americans polled believe that the worst is still yet to come in the economic crisis, while only 27% think that the worst is behind us. Maybe that's because...
And he's still talking about spending money. Today he held a press conference in London, and he was talking about the amount of money he's going to spend on Africa and other countries. I'm thinking to myself, where is he getting all this money from if we're so broke? I realize that Obama is going to go down as the greatest of great deceivers. He's a very dishonest man. He held a press conference today, and he did not defend this country. We were accused, according to the report by the other so-called leaders, of causing this economic crisis. And Obama said, oh, we have to humble ourselves in America. Yeah, you're right. It's because of Wall Street. But he left out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all those other aspects that took us into that. So, yeah, he's spending money, and I'm wondering where's all this money coming from?
The chair of this public hearing has requested the chamber cleared, and that is final.
A huge debate tonight about major tax changes gets so rowdy that state troopers are called in to clear hundreds of people from the House chambers. Good evening, everyone. It is the first time in recent memory that the chamber has been ordered cleared during a public hearing.
The debate boils down to this. Those who support changes to the income tax system say it will cut taxes. Critics say it's a tax on a tax. News Channel 8's Todd Magel just back from the State House tonight, and as we saw in the video, things got pretty out of control, Todd.
Well, Stacey, it is one of the most unusual things I've ever seen in the normally polite and very sedate Iowa State House. Tonight, it looked a little more like a hockey game.
You know, I've warned the demonstrators repeatedly.
What started out as a routine public hearing in the Iowa House chambers slowly grew into a battle between demonstrators and House leaders. Then, after one too many outbursts, House Speaker Pat Murphy had enough.
The chair of this public hearing has requested the chamber cleared, and that is final.
The majority in the audience is against a new bill that would eliminate the deductibility of federal taxes for Iowa taxpayers. Before the outburst, both sides lined up to either support the plan.
The taxes for 2/3 of Iowans, and most of the rate reductions will benefit lower and middle income families.
Or speak out against it.
Bottom line, this tax on a tax plan will cost us jobs in Lynn County. It will close businesses that are trying to come back from a flood. Not just a handful of jobs, but hundreds of jobs. A recession is the worst time to raise taxes.
In the end, House leaders heard from everybody who signed up to speak, but clearly the debate in the audience turned out to be more emotional than anyone expected.
It's just the fact that we're reporting on that. So I want to be clear, the company isn't bad. They're allowed to be in business and sell this to the government. In the past, we would see articles about 1 million body bags ordered by FEMA, or 300,000 plastic coffins ordered by Homeland Security. I mean, we've had all those articles. We just have never... But people don't care about an article or a news story. They want to see the coffins. So some folks in Georgia saw one of these facilities, and we've got Google photos of it and ground photos and video of it, and it is more than 500,000 of these giant coffins stacked outside. You'll have big stacks of lids and then stacks of the coffins one inside the other. And they also have other systems that you can go read about. They also have urns for your cremated body. And this is in Georgia. The company is Polyguard Vaults, but they're in Alabama. This is a separate area, a FEMA leased area, just sitting right out by the side of a highway for the last couple of years. And finally, we've mentioned this before, but finally, this is really getting big news on the web, and a big report's being done by Kurt Nemo right now. In fact, it may be up. I know he's working on it to have it up by the end of the show. Why are tens of thousands of plastic burial vaults stacked in a field near Madison, Georgia, is the headline. Polyguard Vaults, and you go to their website, and we also have photos of the trucks, giant 18-wheelers, huge 18-wheelers with these extra long flatbeds, just totally stacked with the coffins that go one inside the other like plastic Dixie cups, and they're just all there. Now, we know this is FEMA. We know that these are coffins. Some people are debating that because we have all the news articles where it says FEMA's ordered coffins and body bags by the millions. This is just one stockpile just a few miles away from the Atlanta airport, which is the largest airport in the United States. So you can go there and look at these. Now, FEMA and the CDC say that they're, by the way, this is nearby the CDC, Center for Disease Control. They say that they're only doing this in case there's a mass biological outbreak. You've just got to remember that it's the government, the criminals that have hijacked our government, our National Security Act of 47, who fully took over when they killed President Kennedy in '63, and now under PDD 51 openly says that the White House is a dictatorship and that Congress has no authority. The chairman of the Homeland Security Department for 6-7 months, it's been going on for 11 months total since one of the people on the committee asked to see the documents. They're not even allowed to see the fully declassified / classified version. But on the cover sheet of PDD 51, Presidential Decision Directive 51, it says that the president is a dictator. People say, well, everything will be all right. Barack Obama will soon be in, or John McCain will. They're just puppets. They run nothing. They're there to carry out their orders. Understand? It's that executive branch that allows the private corporations that have hijacked our government to have, at least on the surface, the look of government. But a president declaring himself dictator is totally illegal and illegitimate. See, that's what you've got to ask yourself. Do you stand with the Bill of Rights and Constitution or with the New World Order? Do you stand with the Republic and the Founding Fathers or the dirtbag globalists?
Is it far-fetched to imagine that these UN peacekeeping forces would be used against American citizens? The 502nd, another unit from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, is shown here arriving as peacekeepers in Somalia, wearing their UN blue berets and UN insignia. Shortly thereafter, this same unit, the 502nd, was in Arkansas practicing house-to-house searches and seizures in a joint UN training mission called Agile Provider in the spring of 1994. Agile Provider involved 44,000 UN troops, including troops from France and the Netherlands, training in the states of Georgia, North and South Carolina, Arkansas, and Tennessee. Yes, UN troops have been trained in this country in the past, but not in brigade strengths and not in domestic support house-to-house searches and seizures. Many of our congressmen deny that UN troops are being trained in this country at all. But as you can see in these clips from Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, Germans were training here last spring.
Das ist die Baracke 1660, die da. Den Kontrollenzug,
UN training has become so widespread that many of the newspapers around the country have had at least one such story. This official news release from the Navy High Command, Atlantcom, further confirms that UN troops were training in this country this past spring in forcible entries of homes using special operations tactics. News releases from around the country speak of law enforcement and military training together for so-called terrorist suppression involving attacks on civilian facilities. Did you know that 49 of our most famous landmarks have been given to the United Nations as supposed biospheres? Yet many of these supposed biospheres are located outside military facilities and are used for covert UN military military special operations training areas. On the border between the U.S. and Canada, we see the UN flag flying between the U.S. and Canadian flags. Throughout cities in America, UN flags are popping up outside government buildings. But perhaps most disturbing was this letter received by New American Magazine detailing a survey given to Marines at 29 Palms Base. We confirmed this survey was given to Army Special Operations recruits. The survey asked troops whether they would swear to the following code. I am a United Nations fighting person. I serve in the forces which maintain world peace and every nation's way of life. I am prepared to give my life in their defense. This survey also asked if these U.S. military men would fire upon U.S. citizens who refuse or resist confiscation of firearms banned by the U.S. government. Fire upon U.S. citizens who refuse or resist confiscation of firearms banned by the U.S. government.